Hey everyone, Dan here with another video for you. And before we get started, for the past few weeks, I've had tons of comments asking me whether I branch out into other animes and mangas, so if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll take them all into consideration. I know January has tons of new premieres, so I'll take a look, and maybe you guys can convince me to start covering a brand new show. I mean, I'd love to do Demon Slayer, but we all know how Shueisha is with their content. I'd have to be a little bit more creative, and unfortunately, not show the manga like I normally do. But enough of my rambling, because today's video is something rather special. And today, I'm going to be talking about Toshinori Yagi, the former #1 hero, All Might. I know, doing an All Might explained video to some might be pretty droll, but I promise today you're going to leave learning something about the symbol of peace that you didn't know before. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And let's learn more about the former #1. Also, for this video, let's go for like 700 likes. So grab your drinks, spark it up, and do what you gotta do. Let's get to it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. The bounty.
So, starting off, All Might's real name is Toshinori Yagi, and he explains to his successor Izuku Midoriya that it was a lot more common in his generation for people to have been born quirkless, and that he, as a quirkless individual, had the opportunity to win the quirk of his master and mother figure Nana Shimura, and after obtaining said quirk known as One for All, he was supremely lucky as his body was already conditioned enough that he could handle the full capacity of One for All. Granted, All Might was never able to access the anomaly known as the Singularity like Deku could, but he did state at one point he experienced something similar, but from what Deku explained, he absolutely knew nothing about it. Which kind of makes me theorize that if you're quirkless, the stockpiling is that of like the base energy of a person, meaning 8 holders having their base human stats boosted. But one thing I want to state is I for sure am not a scientist, and applying science to this is shenanigans because it's a work of fiction that's rooted in loose science, and I explain shit, I don't break out calculators. So after the fateful day in which All for One discovers where Nana and All Might are located, the final showdown begins between Toshinori's master and his arch nemesis. And with Gran Torino helping Toshinori escape the area, the last glimpse of Toshinori's master is that of her smile. And he remembers the strong words that she told him. Those words being, when you have to save someone, they're usually in a scary situation. A true hero saves not only their lives, but also their hearts. That's what I believe. So no matter how scary things get, give him a smile, as if to say I'm A-okay. The people in this world who can smile are always the strongest. Afterwards, smiling became incredibly difficult for Toshinori to do, as the anger within his heart dwelled so deeply for All for One. So when he attended UA, he was savagely beaten to a pulp by Gran Torino daily to show him that he is not ready to take on All for One. And Gran Torino specifically got his hero license to make sure Toshinori knew how to use his quirk properly. And after a heated discussion with him, Gran Torino states that now that he's a graduate, his training is going to have to continue somewhere else other than Japan. He tells All Might he has to head to America. And when he lands, he specifically lands in California, where he meets the support hero and scientist David Shield, the man responsible for his hero outfits. The last moments we see of a young Toshinori is as he gets on the plane to America. He dons his signature hairstyle and his iconic smile and ships off. So when he returns to Japan, in no time he becomes the reigning symbol of peace. That is, until All for One puts 2 and 2 together and comes after the heir of One for All once again, leaving him with the grievous wounds that he has today. But being All Might is only one side of the coin. He utilizes his civilian identity frequently in heroics, so there's a specific purpose for Toshinori Yagi. One of the greatest things that My Hero Vigilantes has brought us is a bit of minor backstory to Toshinori, and for some clarification as to where the timeline in My Hero Academia's universe these events are taking place, we meet this version of Toshinori or All Might after his fight with All for One. So he sustained the life-threatening injuries that leads to his search for a successor, and it's between him becoming a teacher at UA, so let's say 3 or 4 years in between. And getting these little side bits is an absolutely beautiful change of pace, as we haven't really seen All Might prior to him giving Deku his quirk in the main series. I mean, like I said before, we've had glimpses of him at UA, a few brief moments of him being whisked away by Gran Torino during the fight between Nana and All for One, but what Vigilantes does is introduce us to a more put-together Toshinori Yagi, in a sense of hero work. All Might decides to take his Toshinori persona and double up by acting as secretary and manager to All Might, meaning that on top of all the hero work that he does, All Might also does the desk work and the PR because he doesn't want anyone relatively close to finding out the secret of One for All or his disability. I mean, this isn't downplaying whatsoever what we've seen in My Hero Academia. But they haven't even shown us where All Might operates out of. And speaking of his hero offices, All Might's hero office is located in a gigantic building called Might Tower, and it resides in the Roppongi district, a subsection of Minato, Tokyo. We haven't seen that in the main series, but we have seen it in Vigilantes. Now, it would be pretty cool to see the heroes that work out of All Might's building, considering its size. But my guess, since it was introduced by Horikoshi in collaboration with the boys over at Vigilantes, it's safe to say that Might Tower being introduced is not just a red herring, and in fact, it'll probably play a part in the future of My Hero. Also, the reason why it's so big is because All Might dines at the local cafeteria, and when he cools down from a mission, the cafeteria's convenient location provides him with a sky view of the entire city. So, just in case someone is in trouble, he can leap right into action. Now, I'm making a theory here because since I pretty much fooled myself into saying Shirakumo was dead, I'm gonna say this ahead of time. I think Shigaraki is gonna do one of two things. One, he's gonna take over the building as some crazy Legion of Doom headquarters, or he's going to level this building. Not only would its destruction throw Tokyo into complete chaos, but it's a big enough statement for the villains to state that they're here. Either way, it's only 3 months until the fabric of My Hero's universe changes, so we'll have to see what happens from here. Also, in Might Tower, we've seen a glimpse of something only known as the Might Gate, which is part of the building that only All Might can step inside of. They didn't exactly show us what was inside, but maybe it's something that jeopardizes All Might. Or it could be his command center that harbors the secret of One For All. But let's not limit it to that. I'm talking data on several villains, maybe something along the lines of Batman's Babel protocol, that just in case he or any other heroes go rogue, it could provide people with the means to take down any pro easily. Meaning that if Shigaraki gets in, he has the plans to kill every single hero in Japan. Either way, one concrete piece of information is that the Might Gate is the one place that All Might can safely turn into Toshinori Yagi without anyone knowing the wiser. And while I'm explaining the Might Tower, I might as well explain how one of the main supporting characters of My Hero Academia finds out about All Might's identity. The Man of Truth, Naomasa Tsukauchi. That's right, you heard me right. In Vigilantes, we get to find out how Detective Tsukauchi finds out about Toshinori being All Might. How he finds out? Well, during the investigation into the villain factory, All Might is like semi-involved, but he hasn't attended any of the meetings. Tanuma, Tsukauchi's partner, and the confidant of none other than Knuckle Duster, defers Tsukauchi to All Might's agency, specifically telling him that if he can't get in touch with All Might, his best bet is finding Toshinori Yagi. And while at Might Tower for the first time, he walks up to the receptionist once again and asks if he can speak to All Might, where he finds out that once again, All Might's not around, but luckily, Yagi is, and he happens to be standing across from him. With that being said, Toshinori and Tsukauchi retire to the cafeteria to discuss All Might's part in this particular assignment. And as their conversation progresses, Toshinori sees that villains are attacking the city, and he begins to excuse himself several times to stop several incidents, until he slips up and sits back down disheveled, allowing Tsukauchi to see his hero outfit underneath his business attire. Now at this point, I really gotta give credit to illustrator Betancourt, because when All Might arrives back on the scene in front of Tsukauchi, one of the last acts he did before returning was rescuing a cat, and All Might accidentally brought it back with him. So as he sits down, Tsukauchi notices Toshinori all disheveled and his hero outfit is exposed under his tie. Literally, at this moment, the cat was out of the bag. Tsukauchi knows. Between that and it kind of looking like a Clark Kent Superman homage with, like the tie hanging out, it's really nice to know that these three people that produce Vigilantes and Academia have everything in mind when they're inspired by subtle nuances. So Tsukauchi at this point is absolutely blown away. But after he settles down from the shock that is All Might's base form, he has to have a serious discussion with Toshinori, letting him know that All Might randomly appearing to assist the police is a bit discerning. Mostly because he hasn't been doing the paperwork for his agency properly, as there are tons more to being a hero than just showing up and smashing villains. And while he's the #1 hero, he can't be treated any differently than any other hero. And aptly enough, he's acting like a vigilante, not a government worker like heroes. At this point, All Might tries to kinda play the victim, stating that he's overwhelmed with paperwork, and now that his super capable sidekick has left the agency, the second half to his job kinda suffers. Also, nice subtle nod to Night Eye here. Pretty cool. With that being said, Tsukauchi kind of feels for the #1, stating that if people found out that he neglected even some of his hero duties, it could set a bad example for future heroes. So Tsukauchi agrees to help out with his paperwork, allowing All Might to continue his heroics without worry. There's a few things that we can take away from this conversation. One integral point being clearly Toshinori has no social life or personal life whatsoever, and when it comes to being the symbol of peace, that's all that matters. And Toshinori has become his mask, and he considers All Might to be who he truly is. which is a really kind of like Batman-esque thing to do. He continuously looks to save the next person, and he impedes on the police and fellow heroes by coming in to save the day. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing considering the district of Minato is his, and if you operate out of Tokyo, you're pretty much putting yourself up against the number one regardless of where you are. If the incident is large enough, I mean, he's gonna be there. Also, I'm gonna be a little bit educational in this video and teach everyone a French film term. I know, alright, just bear with me. It's called mise en scène. And this phrase doesn't exactly have a meaning in English, but it roughly means that everything that exists in the frame of a scene is meant to be there for a reason. It's a way to describe the act of storytelling through the scene itself. So whether it's the cat or making All Might look like a Superman Clark Kent hybrid, it makes me glow with delight that every bit of nuance is thought through. And with the recent chapter reveal, we can honestly say that these writers are above the realm of subtle thinking. But because of their brilliant writing, Toshinori has become more of a complicated character than we can possibly comprehend. And as the months tick closer to his possible foreseen death, it'll be hard to say goodbye to All Might. I guess let's hope that the cycle of One-For-All bearers dying ends with All Might. We know that Deku has defied Night Eye's visions once before, but either way, it's fun to know that there's more to the symbol of peace than the man who's always there at the right time. And that's gonna do it for today. Did you learn something today about All Might that you didn't already know? If you did, throw it in the comments down below. And once again, thank you for the continued support. My subs have grown remarkably quick these past 2 months, and I'm planning a giveaway now at 10,000 subscribers. I'm working on kind of getting some Dan Exclaims hoodies for the winner. It's gonna be pretty tight. Not the sweaters we probably lose. Either way, I'll be giving away like 10 when it happens. Other than that, that's it for me. Peace out.